Today we're talking to Farmstrong Scotland and Gerard Vaughan from Farmstrong New Zealand. The Farm Advisory Service and Farmstrong Scotland are working together this autumn to bring a roadshow of events to farmers. It's to encourage farmers to engage with Farmstrong Scotland and the message that they're working on.
Farmstrong Scotland launched at the Highland Show in 2023, but the whole concept started back after the Doug Avery tour in 2018. Doug Avery he's a New Zealand farmer, came over here to talk about some of the challenges he'd had and what he did to keep himself well now. They were expecting about 1,000 people to come along, and there was actually in the end about 2,000 people across Scotland. And at that point a couple of volunteers got together and said, right, how can we make this into something that's got a bit of a legacy? And Doug, who had come from New Zealand, said, well, maybe you should look into Farmstrong. And looking into the Farmstrong programme in New Zealand has been really helpful because it's enabled us to deliver something here that's very similar, and we've got all that expertise from Gerard and the team there that we can pull on. Farmstrong Scotland aims to improve the well-being of farmers and crofters across the country. It's a programme that's for everybody, and it's encouraging farmers and crofters to take small positive steps to improve their well-being. So one of the fundamentals of Farmstrong is the 5 steps to well-being, and this is small things that can be introduced into your day, your week, your month on a regular basis that can be done even at the busiest times of the farming calendar. So the 5 steps are, the first one is be active, so thinking about what you can do every day or a couple of times a week to be active. So that could be setting your timer, walking for 10 minutes, and then when the timer goes off, turning around and walking back and getting a brisk 20-minute walk, or it could be something, making time for something that you really enjoy and getting your body moving. The second one is to connect, and there's lots of examples within agriculture that really enable a connection. So it could be that you go to an event, or it could be a monitor farm or one of the FAS events that happen, or it could be picking up the phone and having a chat with a friend. You can connect in lots of different ways. The third one is to give, so it could be to give your time, to give your money, to give your experience, but you're supporting an organisation or a person or someone within your community, but that's also giving you a sense of well-being as well. The next one is to learn. I think when we're younger it's really easy to continue to learn because you're at school, university, college, apprentice, but as we get older it can be a little bit more challenging. So looking for ways that you can learn something new, and that has been proven to improve your well-being as well. And I think podcasts are a great way to do that, and when we've been out speaking to farmers and crofters, that's definitely something that farmers are doing a lot more of. And the final one is to take notice. So that can be done even on the busiest days. Just if you're out checking the sheep, turn the quad bike off, take a couple of minutes just to look around and appreciate the scenery, appreciate the livestock or the crops or whatever it is that you've got in front of you. So just taking a couple of moments each day to notice the positives of your day. The Farmstrong message is for everybody, so well-being is a really important part of, we've all got well-being, it's something that we can all do, and it's something that needs managed, so we need to take active steps to manage our well-being and to prioritise that. And we've spoken to farmers and crofters who've shared their story with us, and what works for one farmer might be completely different from what works for another, so it's about finding what works for you and really locking that in. So for example, we've had one farmer, Tracy, who talked about going to the gym to get fit and then discovering that she enjoyed weightlifting and then the benefits of that to her mental and physical health. We've had someone who's talked about wild swimming. Hazel really gets benefit from that up in Orkney, and we've had other farmers that talked about giving their time to agricultural shows. So I think we can all benefit from managing our well-being and just prioritising that and taking some time to make time for well-being. Farmstrong Scotland are delighted to be working with the Farm Advisory Service to deliver 4 sessions in the autumn. So there's going to be one in the North East, North West, South East and South West. And these are going to be panel sessions, really engaging the audience to talk about some of the practical steps that farmers are taking to manage their own well-being. And we'll encourage you to share your thoughts, and it'll be a really engaging session which we're really looking forward to.
I recently attended my first Farmstrong Scotland event. I had heard much about the organisation but hadn't really engaged with them at all, and it was a fabulous day and afternoon. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I always take the opportunity to get off farm, catch up with friends, other farmers, see other businesses and get out of our own business and get away from it, even if it's just for a few hours. Helps clear the head, and I think often gives us better perspective as to where we are and where we're going. I think it's critically important where it's all possible to get off farm, find some breathing space, It allows you to think more holistically about your business. It allows you to put many of the day-to-day challenges into perspective and allows you to think more strategically about your business. I think the event really reiterated a lot of the things that we already know and a lot of the things that we often talk about when it comes to looking after our own physical and mental health. But I think it's great to be reminded of those things and add a few new things into the mix, whether it's the importance of getting really good sleep, the importance of good nutrition and getting some exercise. It's not always easy in a busy farming operation, but to be continually reminded that it's a good idea to do these things, I think is important, and it's refreshing to get off farm, speak to new people and learn new things. I think getting off farm is always has a positive impact on our business. The event I went to was on another farm, another impressive business. I always learn things on other people's farms, and getting off our own farm, speaking to friends and colleagues, I think you can share your worries, complain about the weather, and always allows us to go home with a fresh approach and new ideas.
Farmstrong in New Zealand is a program that looks after the most important asset in a farming and horticulture business, which is the farmer and the people that work in the business. I'm over in Scotland at the moment because we've been going for 10 years in New Zealand, and Scotland is showing quite a bit of an interest in terms of the benefit that the program's having. They were keen to look at could they actually replicate the program here in Scotland. So I've been lucky enough to be over here a few times, just sharing some of our learning for the fantastic start that Scotland's had on the Scottish Farmstrong program. At the heart of the program, and actually a farmer really summed up what Farmstrong's all about. So he's a farmer in his late 60s, and he said, you know, when he was growing up in farming was all about this, and pointed to his bicep, and he said farming's now all about this. And when we talked to lots of farmers, you know, right at the beginning, when they got together, they talked about, you know, how to grow the best sheep, how to grow the best grass, you know, how to produce the best milk fat content. But they actually weren't also talking about one of the most important things to talk about is how are you looking after yourself and the people who work in your business. Because there's a lot of complex businesses now, a lot of stresses and strains and challenges, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change, a lot of things outside your control. So what we've been doing first is, when we started, we really wanted to promote why it's important to look after yourself, because a lot of farmers were just really focused on running their businesses, and they'd really focus on looking after their stock and their machinery and their produce incredibly well, but wouldn't prioritise what they needed to do to look after themselves. And then if they fell over, the whole business was at risk. So that we spent, in some of those early years, we did spend quite a big message saying why it's important to look after yourself, because it's good for your business. And actually also we know that the science that we share, it's also protective of some of the more common mental health problems, particularly around depression, anxiety and substance abuse. But what really rang true in terms of a message for farmers was the performance benefits. That actually, if you were in a good headspace and investing in yourself to make sure that you stayed in a good headspace, you were going to make the best decisions and your farm and your business would benefit. The key transformation that we measure it, so we're very strong on, before we launched, we did random sample survey with farmers around a dashboard of 9 wellbeing behavioural measures, and we've tracked those every year. We interview by telephone a random sample of 450 farmers, and we now know that over the last 5 years, between 14 to 17,000 farmers every year attribute an improvement in their wellbeing to their involvement in Farmstrong. And for us, actually that's the sweet spot. We are making a difference, and farmers are telling us that this is helping them stay in a good headspace where they can actually be fresh and be making good decisions and enjoying farming life, you know, a lot more. As well as farmers saying that they've improved their well-being, We've also got a very strong partnership in New Zealand with our Accident Corporation, which is a government organisation, and they've been measuring the impact of improved wellbeing that for people who've been engaged with Farmstrong around reduced accident and injury rates, which makes complete sense. But for them, the money that they've been putting in, they've been getting each year at least an 8 times return, for every dollar that they've been putting into the program in terms of the reduction in accidents and injuries, because one of their highest sectors that drives accident and injury, unfortunately, is agriculture. And it makes complete sense when you think about it. If you're not sleeping well, you're highly stressed, you're worrying about things, you're distracted, and maybe if you're sort of racked up and a bit angry, and you're around unpredictable stock and heavy machinery, that's high risk situation for having for an accident and injury.
Today I've talked to Alix Ritchie, who's Programme Director for Farmstrong Scotland, and Gerard Vaughan from Farmstrong New Zealand. We're really looking forward to welcoming you to our events this autumn and hope to see many new faces there, engaging with what Farmstrong Scotland are all about and building a stronger, healthier farming community. For more information, go to the FAS website, fas.scot.